Happy day students. Today we are going to discuss about Geography chapter Lifelines of National Economy class 10. Here is a quick overview of the types of transport that are available. Broadly, they have been categorized into land, water and airways. The land is further divided into roadways, railways and pipelines. Waterways is further divided into inland and overseas waterways, and if we take airways, it is again further divided into international airways and domestic airways and a public undertaking, international airways, private airlines also, but only few of these we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. Now, before we go into details, the means of transport and communication, why are they called as lifelines of a national economy? Because they help in increasing cooperation and assistance between countries, easy movement of goods and material between countries, trade and commerce within the country. They also help in reducing distances and thus bringing the world closer. Both production and distribution of goods and movement of large number of people over long distances is possible only because of this transport. Okay, now let us move on to roadways. India has one of the largest road networks in the world, aggregating to about 54.7 lakh kilometers. The growing importance of road transport over rail transport is like the construction cost of roads is much lower. Roads can cover more geographically harder locations that cannot be done by railways. Roads can negotiate higher gradients of slopes. Road transport is economical. It also provides door-to-door services. Road transport provides links between railway stations, airs and seaports. Now, if we go on to in India, these roads are classified into the following categories. Okay, according to their based on their capacity. First, we have the Golden Quadrilateral Superhighway. Golden Quadrilateral is a network of highways connecting India's 4 top metropolitan cities, namely Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai. These highways projects are being implemented by the National Highway Authority of India, which we can say NHAI. This is a map. Now moving on to National Highway, again road transport only. The National Highways are a network of trunk roads that are laid and maintained by the Central Public Works Department, CPWD. The historical Shershah Suri Marg is called the National Highway number 1 between Delhi and Amritsar. State highways, these roads linking a state capital with different district headquarters are known as state highways. These roads are constructed and maintained by the State Public Works Department, that means PWD. District roads, these roads connect the district headquarters with other places of the district. These roads are maintained by the Zilla Parishad. Other roads, rural roads which link rural areas and villages with towns are classified under this category. These roads receive special impetus under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. What I just now is said about other roads. Now, if we go for border roads, organization constructs and maintains roads in the bordering areas of the country. This organization was established in 1960 for the development of the roads of strategic importance in northern and northeastern border area. Now, roads as such, generally if you want to categorize, you can categorize into metalled and unmetalled roads. Metalled roads may be made of cement, concrete or even bitumen of coal. They are all weather roads. That means in all kind of weather condition these roads can bear it. Unmetalled roads go out of use in rainy season. Now let us move on to railways. Railways are the principal mode of transport for carrying huge loads and bulky goods for long and short distances in India. Railways have become more important in India's economy. However, rail transport suffers from certain problems as well as which I am going to read about. Construction of bridges is required across rivers, wide beds for laying down the railway lines. In the hilly terrains of peninsular region, railway tracks are laid through low hill gaps or tunnels, which is a very difficult process. The Himalayan mountainous regions are also unfavorable for the construction of railway lines due to the highest elevation points in the surface. Sparse population and lack of economic opportunities. It is difficult to lay railway lines on sandy plains. This is the logo that is used by the Indian Railways. Now let us move on to pipelines. Pipelines network uses pipes usually underground to transport and distribute fluids. These are used to transport water, crude oil, petroleum products and natural gas, fertilizer factories and big thermal power plants. The solids can also be transported through pipeline, but first they have to be converted into slurry form. There are three important networks of pipeline transport in the country, from oil fields in Upper Assam to Kanpur, from Salaya in Gujarat to Jalandhar in Punjab, from Hazira in Gujarat to Jagdishpur in Uttar Pradesh. Let us move on to waterways. Waterways are the cheapest means of transport. They are most suitable for carrying heavy and bulky goods. It is fuel efficient and environmentally friendly. The national waterways in India now can be divided into national waterway number 1. Okay, so I'll be referring with numbers only. Number 1, the Ganga river between Allahabad and Haldia. It is about 1620 kilometers. National waterway number 2, the Brahmaputra river between Sadia and Dubri, which is 891 kilometers. Number 3, the West Coast Canal in Kerala, like how you pronounce in your regional this thing, Kottapurma and Kolan, Udagamandalam and Champakara canals, which are 205 kilometers. Number 4, specified stretches of Godavari and Krishna rivers along with Kakinada, Puducherry stretch of canals. Number 5, specified stretches of river Brahmani along with Mattai river, delta canals of Mahanadi and Brahmani rivers and East Coast Canal, which are about 588 kilometers. Inland waterways in India are Mandavi, Zauri and Kumbarjua, Sundarbans, Barak and backwaters of Kerala, through which transport takes place. Major seaports, map pointing is there for major seaports as well as airports. India's trade with foreign countries carried from ports. There are 2 major and 2000 notified non-major minor intermediate ports in India. Here, the list of these ports are however given here for your reference. Kandla in Kanch, Mumbai is the biggest port. Marmagova port is a premier iron ore exporting. Mangalore port is located in Karnataka. Cochin is the extreme southwestern part. Tuticorin port is situated at the extreme southeast. Chennai is one of the oldest artificial ports of India. Vishakhapatnam is the deepest landlocked and well protected port. Paradip port located in Odisha specializes in export of iron. Kolkata is an inland riverine port. Haldia port was developed as a subsidiary port in order to relieve growing pressure on Kolkata port. Now let us go to airways and communication. The airways is the fastest, most comfortable and prestigious mode of transport. Air travel has been access easier to the terrain areas like high mountains, deserts, dense forests and long oceans. The air transport was nationalized in 1953. Air India provides domestic and international air services. Pawan Hans Helicopter Limited provides helicopter service to oil and natural gas corporations in its offshore operations. If we move on next to communication, the major means of communication in India are television, radio, press, etc. The Indian Postal Network is the largest in the world. It handles parcels as well as personal written communication. And India has one of the largest telecom networks in Asia. The subscriber trunk dialing facilities all over India has been made possible by integrating the development in space technology and with communication technology. Now let us go to international trade. The exchange of goods among people, states and countries is referred to as trade. Trade between two countries is called international trade. It is considered as the economic barometer of a country. Export and import are the components of trade. The balance of trade of a country is the difference between its exports and imports. When the value of exports exceeds the value of imports, it's called favorable balance of trade. And if the value of imports exceeds the value of exports, it's termed as unfavorable balance of trade. The commodities exported from India to other countries include germs, jewelry, chemicals, related products, agriculture, etc. The commodities imported to India, that is into India, include petroleum, crude and products. Again, we have certain types of gems and jewelry, chemicals and related products, base metals, electronic items, machinery, agriculture and allied products. Now let us move on to tourism as a trade. More than 15 million people are directly engaged in the tourism industry. Tourism in India actually promotes national integration, provides support to local handicrafts and cultural pursuits, helps in the development of international understanding about India, culture and heritage. Foreign tourists visit India for heritage tourism, ecotourism, adventure tourism, cultural tourism, medical tourism and business tourism. With this we come, here is a map for you which is of major seaports and international airports, which you must learn for board exams. With this we come to the end of the chapter. Please read the content that is given in the textbook. Thank you.